emotions. Yeah, sometimes we play games afterwards as well. Yeah. I am genuinely shocked that we're still getting along this well. It's heartwarming, if you ask me.
Yeah, it's very nice.
It's very nice.
It's very nice.
Sorry, Veldas, for being enthusiastic. God.
Kali's banned.
Do this to me.
You know who's not banned is Silas. And, I mean, it could be an option.
Yeah,
you
perfect.
know, just pick Jax again. If they want to pick Gnar, go ahead, because we can pick Silas.
Can't exactly blind the Silas.
No.
I've seen that runs into some severe issues. Maybe you go Ryze here. Now, you can get counterpicked with a Kassadin, but this is the type of comp where if Kassadin is in the game, you're like, who cares?
Sure.
Because
pick Kassadin, I dare you.
Yeah, exactly. So, Gnar and Ryze, I would love. The downside is you are heavy on the magic in the mid-jungle 2v2, and Merc threats will be very high value, but it does mean that you can impact the bot lane to an insane degree and are able to reliably make sure that this bot lane snowballs. Galio is another example. The Galio recently hasn't been that great, and blinding Galio also feels very bad, so Ryze to me is kind of the no-brainer pick up. Twisted Fate even, although picking TF into Jax seems like a bad
Even
time.
Showmaker seems confused. And I don't think he said anything during that whole time. And Azir was picked for him. So, either way.
Azir does the same thing. It won't be as good at actually finding bot lane answers as closer. Huge grin on his face. This matchup is amazing. I'm just worried that it's not going to matter at all, because you will not have early prio, and that's all that D+ need.
All right, well, we had a groan from the audience. You know, Live Sandbox, they played game number 1 very well because they had so much control and they had so much early dominance, but game number 2 will not look like that at all. And I think they might have misinterpreted, you know, why they were getting their strength in game number 1, and they're like, okay, we can do this, we can counterpick for this lane, but I think they might find themselves in a bit of a hole if things don't go immaculately early on.
If they do, love this comp. It's effectively a very similar comp where you have a utility AD carry, you have an incredible 1-3-1, you're going to be able to kind of snowball that Jax and Yone into relevance once you get to the mid game, a lot of stationary targets on the opposing ends. Now the downside is I think you should never be allowed to get there, ever.
Whoa.
Even a little bit.
That said, please win the first one. And this one says Showmaker. Also D+ Kia.
And after game number 1, where the early game decided everything, I think we might have a game number 2 where the early game decides everything, but even more egregious. Because in game number 1, Sandbox played it extremely clean, but it was also relatively slow paced. There weren't that many kills. D+ played a decent defensive game until the 2 mistakes. With this one, if we're not diving on level 4 at the latest, I'm not happy, Veldas.
Mama Chronicler's gonna, you know, he's gonna be knocking on the door.
Oh yes.
He's gonna be very unhappy with you. And guys, let's jump into the rift for game number 2.
And if they don't dive, I'm not going to be mad, but I will be disappointed because...
Oh, that's worse.
With a composition like this, you just gotta. Early level 1 control is very easy to get here because you will be able to have your saplings. Fortunately, the rest of D+ also showing up here. They will be a member down. Kalin already getting some early gold. Deft.
Uh-oh. Deft in a rough spot here. He's going to try to walk it out. The damage not quite there, but he flashes after. And, you know, there was potential for someone to flash in and last hit him, so...
Yeah, this is a...
Either way, he loses
Mount
flash.
Disaster. So Envy started with W, which is suboptimal, but not the end of the world. Rather start with Q, but you'll be okay with that.
Yeah.
But Deft already not having a flash is...
a problem.
It's dangerous into specifically Maokai. Like, Wheeler can now, as we see him adding up, can just path from Raptors into red and then to blue and then just gank bot. and then try to do that as many times. Because if you do shut down this bot lane, the composition of D+ loses what makes it good, right? Like, it's the core of this comp. If that bot lane doesn't snowball, it will have limited amounts of value. You still have the Elise to try and set up dives, but like a 0 Elise into a Yone, that's not looking too hot. And topside, Jax is notoriously tough to dive when playing into any like remotely auto attack based character, and might be able to hunt it to 0 in 3-6, but still will be tough. Fortunately, Kalin and Deft still were able to deny some of the early turrets to be set up. I think Al got like 1 or 2 down, but did not get themselves a shove because, as we mentioned previously, the turrets have been nerfed fairly substantially. Wheeler, as we point out, actually going for Raptors blue, and now here for the early Shadow on the Gromp.
Canyon like, did Gromp's name change?
No.
The early Shadow. I see. Well, they spot Canyon, who should have scanned that ward. I think he did.
No, he didn't.
I guess maybe he didn't.
Didn't deactivate. This is fine. Not the end of the world. You just need to make sure you still get something going. This is still a wave that is being slow pushed. Next wave is coming up. And Canyon should just be able to go for this again. Now, you might have an inkling that there is a ward. And also, the ward shouldn't change that much.
Well,
because this is still a level 3 Elise.
Yeah. And it's got a great matchup into the Maokai. Unless you have a lot of support, as there's another sapling. Very nice repel just to get out of harm's way. But again, it's not bot diving, so it's not what you want.
Well, it still doesn't matter, because they're still level 1. Where have we seen this before?
Huh, I can't recall, Chronicler.
Yeah. And Closer, as we mentioned...
He might TP in if this gets too risky, as no repel. Canyon in a rough spot. He's going to be repelling now, as one last shot will do it after the flash. Not the dive you were looking for. No teleport required to the bottom side. And now Kyle and Envy are safe for now.
And that is a true disaster, because that is your Elise already getting taken down. The kill going over to Envy of all people, probably the worst one to get it, is going to accelerate the Jhin and make the pressure from Deft and Kalin not nearly as big. Because now, you're not even going to have a lead on your first back. That's 20 CS that Envy just got for free. Closer also able to, because the dive didn't work out, just TP back to lane.
Yep.
And... I'm not mad.
He's just
But I am a little bit disappointed.
Yeah. I mean, there is something to say about the fact that this was 1,000% known by Liv Sandbox, right? Like, it is the most obvious thing. Like, we just saw it in the last series, and we saw him coming in on wards, right? That Cocoon is going to miss. That's actually pretty annoying for Canyon more than anything else. I'm not sure that Kana really could have gotten over there and done a huge thing to Willer, but yeah, just nothing seems to be going right for Canyon here early on.
Really hasn't been. And Wheeler also going for the first strike, so going to scale immensely well into this game. Going to be able to get so much done, as it really is, it's very straightforward, right? Gets tagged by the turret, and then as a result, it's the flourish into the... Yeah, oh, and then the...
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe...
Got him. I saved it.
He did. Maybe you can try and get to the bottom half, but I think you never live.
More thought of.
Yeah, saving that as a special present for Canyon. And it's not the end of the game yet. You get like one more of these when you're D+, provided you can still pick up Drakes. But it's very disheartening, and for Sandbox fans...
Uh-oh, here we go. Look at the top lane as well. Kana has to use his flash, but that's not going to be a good spot either for the top lane. So bot's not going great. Jungle's not going great. Top lane now, you see Kana gets into a bit of a icky situation. But as you mentioned, you know, they can try to put on some pressure here with their priority. The mid lane, you see that Showmaker's doing a great job of pushing that in and getting cryo from mid.
I don't know about contesting this when you're Sandbox. You don't have to. Saplings are doing a lot. And they're actually going in hard. Closer does have level 6 available, so decent amount of damage. No backs have come in yet. Deft is only sitting on the longsword.
Oh, he saved his 4th bullet again. Yeah, he hit the ward this time. That's okay. And yeah, I mean, Liv Sandbox are really...
Showmaker's back. It's not happening.
Yeah. Well, now that Showmaker's not here, DK definitely going to have to give this one away. 4v3, not a fight you can take, even with an Elise. So that's just going to be even bigger for Liv Sandbox, as now we have saplings. For a second, I thought that was a kill. I'm like, how is it even possible? We have saplings in the river that are just pushing them away. And it's an early Mountain Drake for Liv Sandbox, which is just going to stop the early snowball even harder from DK.
Early game looking really good for Sandbox. Even though Bertle isn't able to get that kill, right, it's still kind of the one that dictates the pace of this lane. Kana having to flash in response there does mean that the Gnar won't have the flash available for a possible Herald skirmish. Closer getting his counter pick, feeling quite good in that regard. And
eventually.
Yeah, not going to be too threatened at the very least. And if he hits an early ultimate, still can have a big impact. And for D+, there are still some opportunities, but an early Drake deficit plus First Blood going over to the enemy AD carry with this bot lane is not great. You get a couple more of these fights, as we mentioned previously. Herald would be my guess. As Bertle doesn't have flash. Do keep note, Canyon is on his way.
Looks like they're going to try to bait him to jump in, but Bertle actually reading the situation. It's Mega Gnar right now, so you don't necessarily want to jump in anyway. Timing not great for the Mega Gnar. And the one thing that could be said is that MV is very far behind on CS. You know, he did get the kill, which should shore up a lot of that gold deficit, but it still has been Deft and Killen continuing with their pressure, and continuing with that lead.
Every time Kane tries to do something, Willer is there. This time, though, he's going to focus on Showmaker. Flash available. They do have Cryo in the top half of the map, but Willer is a level up, and Showmaker has to respect. Willer puts an end to Showmaker's plan, or Canyon's plans rather, again.
Yeah, and the second the tree goes over there and puts down 2-3 saplings and all the brushes, you're like, well, now I know that even if I specifically can take a 1v1, I'm not going to be able to get easy support from my teammates. They're not going to be able to rotate easily. They're going to take a bunch of damage. If I want to escape through those brushes, they're not going to be in a great spot. So, not to mention the ult capability of Willer, just to disengage everything.
And it's not all doom and gloom looking at the lane states. We do see that Deft in particular is still having an incredible time. As you pointed out, very big CS deficit for Envy. But with a comp like this, unlike the previous one, I'm a little bit more, we're a little bit more stringent with how far ahead you need to be, right? You can't just get a little lead there, get a dragon, which, as mentioned, they weren't able to get. And Sandbox noted if they play a defensive game and they scale their solo lane carries into a comfortable position, that they're gonna be feeling great.
They're going to be in a great spot, but they do have to get there. Bertle, he's got control of this lane. He put the fear of the Jax into Kana there for a moment. And so since then, Kana's just kind of been playing it relatively passively. And, you know, we're just looking at the top lane because nothing else really is happening. The bottom lane has kind of gone back. While I say that, there is a little bit of a gank coming in, but the stun is there on Kana. It's still a flash. Jax easily gets away.
Take the win as Canyon, just show up in lane, get a flash. Gonna feel good about that one. But it's not the snowball. As in a minute, the Ocean Drake going to spawn. A high impact Drake here would probably be good for D+, as I still consider them to be very threatening around early fights. Deft, with the lead that he still lead, is questionable, but at least right now that he will have in experience and the setup that is there for a possible ultimate of his, can still be very threatening, but they can't really give over control as Kana.
Again, he's just going to kind of face check this, really wanting to force the flash. Is Bertle, good job done there. So a nice little trade going back to Bertle. Because once again, he'll have control of the lane. He'll get his flash up first. That opens up some interesting timings as well. in the 1v1, but also in a team fight. Are you a fan of the Maokai skin? Speaking of which, that stun was so close. As now the Hyper Procs and the... Yeah, he's stunned in. That's going to be the end of Bertle, right? One more auto will do it. Kana will take him down, as meanwhile, Canyon died. And that is going to be secured here by Closer, I believe, who picked up the kill.
And the one time in this game that something goes right for D+, they immediately get taken out. Canyon dying there with Flash as well in a dragon fight that they kind of need to win is just a disaster. Canyon not looking like himself this time around. We have seen some hot or cold games from him throughout this split, even throughout last year, but this is really, really rough. Elisa such a big, important role in this composition because it is kind of the hinge which you use to generate yourself really big early game leads. And if you lose that, you're not going to be feeling too good, as I imagine Willer just goes, just flashes on top, CC chain comes through, and Closer comes in. Not a lot of counterplay to that one. As
it's not Annie, but you can still get it done.
Oh, Kana with really nice timing on the hop there, and Bertle at this point knows, yeah, I'm dead. Bit frustrated with himself. Been playing the matchup well up until this point, but that's the problem with Gnar. Once you're in, once you commit, you got to make sure that you get the 100-0 as it Infernal. That is, for D+ fans, something that you're going to feel pretty good about. The saving grace with any comp that doesn't scale is just get Infernal Soul, and you're fine.
You'll do a bunch of damage anyway, regardless of what champs or what items you have.
Doesn't matter. Again, a more moderately paced game that we're looking at here, Valdez.
That's one way to put it, yeah.
What will be your preferred?
Okay, Rift Herald is about to time out, so Ken is just going to drop it in top lane. Bertle is sticking around. We do have Willer making his way up to the top lane as well. So, just going to give some gold over to Canyon. Oh, I guess Kana actually got in there as well.
Nice.
Thumbs up.
Well done. Good job.
Excellent.
Spreading the wealth.
Marvelous.
Spectacular.
Congratulations.
Riveting.
What?
We just keep
riveting?
Yeah, we keep saying positive buzzwords now.
I see. Yeah, no, that's true.
I thought we kind of had a thing going there,
We did, yeah, I kind of did. So
that's okay. It's the moment's gone. Let's let it go.
Yeah, it's
and this is the point where when you're Lafella Diverse, you're going to be feeling incredible, able to consistently hit these arrows, get an immense amount of poke down, although Closer is on his way to ruin this.
Now there is vision here, and that is going to tap Kellen, but they are out. There's even a Blast Plant in there just in case. Is Envy in a little bit of trouble? Deft really looking to line this up.
Oh god, yeah.
All right, they're just going to push out the wave if they can, but Deft and Kellen looking to get in front of it. Not actually going to work out for them, as the wave will be cleared.
This one will. Next one not going to be the case, and that should be first Turbot going over to D+ Kia, who are off the back of Deft having a wonderful Varus performance and showing us again why we get the Varus performance that make it okay, on-hit Varus is good, and then we get this game and you're like, okay, Lethality Varus also good.
What does that mean?
Yeah, it just I can't quite put my finger on it, but that is a big gold lead, now 2.5 gold, K gold, and that should mean that at the very least the next Drake is going to go the way of D+, and even with Canyon having the pretty subpar early game that he found himself in, should be able to at least get themselves to a next Drake. I don't know about the Drake after that, and that really is the key one, because that's where you really start to be able to apply a lot of pressure when you do have the soul point and put Sandbox in more awkward positions. But that is still a little bit too far off.
Trying to set up vision here in this top river. This Rift Herald did just spawn, so thought maybe Live Sandbox were going to make a big stand here, but doesn't quite look like it just yet. Deft in a fantastic position to carry this game, especially if he keeps hitting arrows like that. The vision setup for him has been quite strong as well. and both teams decide not to fight and not to take the Rift Ring.
I was giving you all the space you needed, Valdes, for maybe some action was gonna graze the Rift. Spider says hello.
Nah.
The sapling says hello. Spiders say hello.
That's a snake, not a spider. I don't know what you're looking at. Clearly Atlas told us yesterday that that's a snake.
Hey, we've all been working a lot, okay? I started speaking Dutch today. If Atlas wants to call at least a snake, let him.
Sure, I mean, I don't know about her backstory, but it doesn't really seem like too, you know, lawful of a character.
No, she's definitely very evil.
Yeah. Closer's bot, Bertle's top, and you'd have to imagine that Willer and Kyle really should not get picked here amongst all of this. Chains of Corruption going to go wide as Willer. Okay. They're actually having a fight up in the top lane as we speak. Flash available for Kane. He's going to have to flash away from this one as another Leap Strike could get it done. But one small boomerang is all it takes to stop the man with the lamppost.
That's heal. Yeah, very important there is that there wasn't that much vision for Bertle either. So if he goes in there and dies again, it's a big disaster. Doesn't want to take that risk. But with that Herald now, mid lane is open as well. And Deft might have a 0-0-0 KDA right now, but he is single-handedly keeping D plus Kia in it. And this is also one of the rare cases where the Kalista ultimate, even though the laning phase wasn't quite as oppressive as you might want to hope for, is still really high value. Because normally if you're Lethality Varus and Jax and or Yone jump on top of you, you die. There is no outplay button, there's no dash, there's no guild force. But if you have Fate's Call, that becomes negotiable. You know, maybe you can live. Maybe you can stay alive for a little bit longer. Def now with Eclipse finish, first Infernal Drake taken, and D+, if they can get the next one as well, could be looking to bring us to a game number 3 / game number 6, depending on whether you've been watching since the beginning, which you should have.
He was right. You should have been watching. I mean, if you didn't catch T1 versus Gen G, definitely watch it back. Very fun series.
Skip the last 2 minutes. You know it when it happens.
I mean, I thought
Tyler's
reaction to it was good. So
I was a little frustrated.
A little bit, yeah.
Usually that doesn't come through too much, but you know, our barriers have slowly been worn down over.
I think that sometimes you need to make it very obvious.
Yeah, I did.
Sometimes it's really frustrating.
Sometimes it is. And
just gotta wear your emotions on your skin. You've never heard that before?
That's not the it's sleeve, right?
Oh, yeah, that's right. Sorry.
What?
Sorry, we all work 6 days a week, and
I thought you were getting meta with me, man. I was waiting for you to be like, yeah. Oh, Valdes.
No, yeah,
Catching me off guard with that one.
We're all working a lot, and you know how it is. As Varus still doing Varus things. Nearly takes off Kyle's head there. It doesn't have to flash, though.
Thank you, Blast Cone.
Yeah. Big fan. We all love the Blast Cone here at the LCK.
I do. I know you don't, but I have no beef with Blast Cone.
Creates a lot of action, you know, 10% of the time, and then 90% of the time it reduces the action.
Me and Blast Cone are
give somebody a lucky...
great friends, and I do not appreciate you talking about Blast Cone like that, okay? That is uncalled for.
I'm just being honest. Kyle is going to have to flash away, as maybe a lot of members of the Sandbox have to as well. They're thinking about turning onto Meganar. That's not an answer, as are we doing Baron, or what are we doing exactly? I'm not sure that with Sandbox know, because everybody is taking damage, and everybody has to flash because there was no other escape.
So Willer flashed, Kyle flashed, and you got that for a TP. That's huge. That's really big. Means that D+ will have Summoner's advantages coming up in the next fight. Even Bertle will not have a big teleport advantage, rather over Kana. And Soul Point for D+ will be big. Allows him to trade a possible Baron for a single Infernal Drake later down the line, because Showmaker has gone for a full damage build on the Sazir. Nothing like what we saw the previous game, where there was a bit more of a hybrid tanky E build that didn't quite end up working out. And right now, overall game state for D+, feeling very similar to game number 1, where I got distracted by Valdez taking a closer look at the Baron pit.
Yeah. I was wondering
what are your findings?
His 2 side heads are so small.
That's not.
You know what I mean?
That's not what I was expecting, but sure. Yeah.
They kind of look like arms too, but I don't think they are. I don't know. Does anyone know the lore on Baron's 2 other heads?
I have no idea. I've seen a lot of Barons be taken, but I've never focused on their heads.
Well,
or arms, which I don't know how that... Well, I'm sure we'll get to take a look at Baron.
this is gone.
Yeah, that's okay.
That's it.
That's what
Wanted
the
to be in range.
second turn that Closer has gotten single-handedly. He's very fed. But he's not even
The
as
same
fed
gold as Showmaker.
Yeah, because Showmaker is also very fed. Both of them are, really.
What about Deft? How fed is he?
Also, yes, very fed. Envy, not so much.
How about Kana? Is he very fed?
I'd say decently fed. He
Why
does
is
have
that?
a bounty.
Exactly.
Well, because he only has 215 creepies, whereas, you know, Showmaker and Deft are both up to 240. And he also...
Okay. But he has a kill.
Yes, true. And he also...
Showmaker and Deft
second
on
item.
kill.
No, that's true, but Deft got first turn blood and local gold, which is huge as well in terms of getting on the Showmaker and also finish the second item. I don't know why I have been made the judge. I put myself in this position and I regret it immensely.
And how fed is Envy?
Enough of this game,
Just
Valdez.
curious. I'm just curious how fed Envy is.
I'd say not particularly.
But he has a kill and an assist.
Yeah, I know he has a kill and an assist, Valdez, but he's lethality Jhin, and the game state is looking okay. He's not fed. He's not that accelerated.
It's so funny, too, because I feel like part of the reason why we're not having any action is because Maokai is in the game. And
He does do that. So the only thing you can't do now when you're D+ is give up Baron. As long as you don't give up Baron, and they have great vision with the... Well, yep, okay, they're good.
There should be a free Infernal Drake here for DK. Live Sandbox decide that they would rather not fight. And that's okay. It just means that, you know, you're not really getting much, right?
I'd argue they're getting nothing at all.
Well, I mean, they got a little bit of damage on that top turret.
They're getting closer to Closer hitting Infinity Edge, which is huge. Willer also going for the AP build, which isn't surprising because he is not really the sole AP source because you have Kael, but Kael is much more utility-based as opposed to actually being a genuine damage threat. And with First Strike, the amount of gold you're going to get is ludicrous. So should be good for him once he finishes that. And as mentioned, Closer getting a big spike is also going to be very nice. But I do foresee some trouble with the current game state because you have 2 Infernal Drakes already. And Sandbox are going to be very reliant on actually getting on top of the enemy backline. Generally, getting on top of the backline requires you to have a decent control of the map. And getting that against Lethality Varus can be quite a tough ask. Particularly with Deft getting extremely close to his Muramana. As we're going to get some shots. Deft is very swift. He has Ghost Blade activated there as well, and Swifties.
The crowd cheered.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, he dodged all of them.
Well, he got cancelled on his back there, so he's a little
Maybe
upset.
they were cheering for Envy.
Well, he missed his shot, so I don't know why he would
But he
cheer for
stopped the
Envy.
back.
Yeah, but they're not time travelers, Valdez.
True.
Not as far as we know, at least. If there's any time travelers, please raise your hand. I am.
Oh, okay. We're just doing Baron. All right.
Maybe that was the sign.
They have decided to do the Baron, and you know what? These saplings and Kael together are really good at stopping them from getting in here. And how about a Maokai ultimate too? They're just going to take it down in turn. Unbelievable. They're going to pick up the Gnar and the Azir. Just like that, Closer's like, yeah, I'll take a Baron and a side of Gnar. And how about an extra side of Showmaker as well? And Live Sandbox just take everything.
Oh, crucial miscommunication there as well. Deft using his flash when the Fate's Call was also getting invested. And they lost Baron. They're gonna get shoved in now in every single lane. Closer is getting closer to his GA. And now your objective that was going to win the game for you, your Infernal Soul, that's still there, but everything else is going to be way harder. I don't even know how you're going to contest for Infernal Soul with you getting this. Yeah, well, deft sidesteps are great, but like that doesn't change the fact that we just saw Sandbox get a free Baron, and this is the issue with this composition.
And some bonus.
It's the combination of Maokai and Heimerdinger is obnoxious once they actually get on top of an objective, and it was up to D+ with the control that they had to ensure that they were actually always
Closer.
there with the vision.
Watch this guy's hands.
나 나를 좀만 살짝 볼게.
I'll keep it going.
캐리.
Carry. Yeah,
He was.
True.
Now he has GA.
Now he has GA. After that fight. Yeah, they got Baron, he got 2 kills, and he got Infinity Edge and GA. I'm not sure if he had it in the last fight, probably, based on the amount of damage he did. He did.
Yeah, he did have IE, didn't have GA yet.
Okay. Well, now he's going to be massive. And now that Live Sandbox are actually in a decent spot, it's okay, never mind. Maybe as a little engaged from Kana. He's going to get an ult out, but now he's going to get caught, and the pick potential of Live Sandbox is off the charts. This TP, very interesting, but it gets 2 stuns under the turret. The turret does eventually go down, but very over-aggressive here from Live Sandbox and from Birdall. As now the Jhin is opening up, Closer looking for more. He wants to crit some people down. His last shot is going to go straight into the back of the Elise. And how about a bit more?
Oh, Showmaker is going to stay alive after all. I can't believe Daft hasn't died yet in the game. That is ludicrous to me. I don't know how, but this is still humongous win for Sandbox, right? Like, okay, yeah, they give up a couple of kills they didn't need to. Who cares? Closer is getting more and more and more fed as the attempted collapse here from D+ doesn't end up working out. Kana doesn't get Envy into the wall. Closer buffers a very nice ultimate. And as a result, if it wasn't for this teleport, this would be a complete disaster. Now, fortunately, we do see that D+ is able to get something out of this.
Showmaker, great job.
But then
salvage that at the end.
These shots are coming through. Closer is such a big threat that like Showmaker, he has to flash away. And same for Kellen, because Closer is just running them over. And good luck. If you can flip this somehow, that might be enough. But this composition from Sandbox with zone control is
this is getting kind of
menace.
Interesting. Yeah, it really is. But
don't flip it though.
I mean, DK also have some options here. Although Kana is going to get caught out, that might just be 100-0. Closer gets in, but he's going down. He's got a GA, but the damage is there. They take out Kana. They take out Kellen, and that will be another one. The entire backline is totally destroyed, and Canyon, just on the run, is going to get emoted on as Birdall and the bros from Live Sandbox looking to take the clean ace, end the game, and a potential 2-0.
And Sandbox about to end it all. You don't even need the dragon. Who cares about that?
Do you think they can end? I mean, the death timers are close.
Kind of short.
They're very low.
They do have a wave. No Baron.
Yeah, the wave. It should be enough, I think.
It's just Kellen, yeah.
Here's...
Members aren't there.
Kellen's like, please, don't kill it. Okay, well, you can take me. Down he goes, and that's going to do it. Yeah, Live Sandbox will take down the Nexus. There you go, clean 2-0. Live Sandbox, they grab the bull by the horns. They do not waste any time. They take down the Baron, and the turn was immaculate. DK could not stand up to the onslaught of Live Sandbox tonight.
You gotta love this team, right? The team play is, that's very sweet. Birdall getting a little bit of extra love from his previous teammates. Sandbox just straight up in every facet that you can think of, the better team here today. They were